What's up guys, welcome to another special Tronic video, and today with us over here we have this very special car. This is a 2019 Mazda Demio. It was with the courtesy of Als Pride that we got this car for a full week and I got to explore all its features, its driving dynamics. Let's take a deep dive into this car, look at the engine, the specs, and look at the general quirky features you would like to know about. So when Mazda was designing this car, they went for something called the Kodo design language, which literally stands for soul in motion. Mazda themselves said that they are breathing life into cars. To do this, they gave the Mazda a long, sculpted hood with a forward stance, as well as smooth and minimalistic, yet sharp curves. According to most people, this is the best small car because it balances fuel efficiency with decent power and it keeps its value. Under the hood of this tiny car is a tiny 1.5 liter petrol engine. They do come in diesel. This one specifically is petrol. And they use Skyactiv technology, which gives it a high compression ratio of air to fuel. And it gives it 115 horsepower and 148 Newton meters of torque. And if you think that's slow, it's not. It's not fast. It's a good pace. It takes this car a 0 to 100 in 9.8 seconds only. However, under ideal conditions, it does a 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9.4 seconds. These Mazda Demios come with 18-inch rims as standard. This one unfortunately has steelies, but you can option them with alloy rims. Unlike other cars in this Mazda Demio's class, things like the Vitz, the Yaris, the Honda Fit, cars like that, this doesn't have a CVT transmission. It has a 6-speed automatic transmission. You could option them in manual, but I don't think many new drivers will be doing that. And because it's direct gears and not just a belt, then it makes the car so much more responsive and gives it a much sportier drive. As I had earlier stated about this Demio is that it's extremely fuel efficient. It gets up to 16 kilometers per liter in city driving and up to 19 kilometers per liter on highway driving. Those are averages real world, while AC is on and you're enjoying all the other luxuries that this car has. But with all the extras and additional features off, this car can push 21 kilometers to the liter. And if you put that together with this 44-liter tank, you will find yourself getting a range between 700 to 850 kilometers on a full tank. On this specific trim, you get a lot of extras, such as this beautiful white DRLs, parking sensors, a 360-degree bird's eye view camera, as well as a reverse camera. Moving on to inside, compared to cars in this class, this car has a much better interior than any other of these small cars. You get a really nice semi-analog, semi-digital cluster, and it's really cool when you switch it on. Look at that. And no, the lights are not all on. I mean, you would expect that because it's not a German car with all the Christmas lights on your dashboard. It has this really nice multifunctional steering wheel that actually has a premium feel to it and is not just scratchy plastic. Even your center hood thing is not scratchy plastic. Your phone connects to this screen via Bluetooth and you can answer calls or decline them right from over here. Unfortunately, this spec doesn't have paddle shifters, but you can get Demios with them. But these talks are really nice and damped, so they feel very premium. Moving up, you have your vanity mirror in your sunshade. Unfortunately, in this one, there is no light. The front seats are very comfortable fabric seats. They have a nice pattern over here which matches the carbon in the dash. And yes, these seats are heated. You get your AC and heater controls over here. You can select from where you want them to blow, these vents, or from down there, or even right there in the dash. And because it's a small car, this thing cools and heats up very fast. You get your DVDs, a 12-volt charging cable, 2 USBs, an aux port, and even an SD card reader. You also get your gear selector, which is nice, soft touch, and has this really nice fabric over here. It makes it have that more German without German problems feel. The infotainment screen is touchscreen, but as soon as you start moving, it doesn't allow you to use the touchscreen, and you have to come and use these knobs, joystick, and this knob over here. You get a manual handbrake, which is also nice, and these have the nice feel. I mean, there's no beating this sound. You also get a compartment here. It's nice to put your key over here and 2 cup holders. And how could I forget? My favorite feature in this is you have a sports mode. Now, with the driver's seat at an average driver's height position, let's check out these back seats. The amount of headroom is decent. Knee room is not the most, but it's fine and comfortable enough. Except for the person who will be sitting here, because this has a bump and the console comes a bit behind. But footroom in the footwells is not too bad, except if you have someone sitting here, you'll have an extra foot over there. Other than it being a bit tight, the seats are pretty comfortable. The doors have that same carbon trim over here. It can feel a bit dark during the night, but the grey headliner gives it a bit of light. It's better than a black headliner. But for someone who is sitting here's perspective, I think you'd rather carry 2 people in the back rather than all 3. And that is for adults. 3 kids will fit here easily. Now, this Mazda Demio is a compact car, so you shouldn't expect it to have the hugest boot. It has a boot, but not so big. It is big enough to carry a few groceries and stuff, but not big enough to fit a full-size human. But if you do need that extra space, there's a button right on top of the seats which lets you fold these seats down. And with the seats down, you get a really good amount of space. And now you can fit not 1 human, but 2. A good thing is it has seat belt runners which don't let the seat belts get lost behind the seat when you put the seat back up. And another quirky feature is you get a tiny light over there so you can look into your boot at night. Now, before we take this thing for a spin and show you guys the driving and how it feels, including with sports mode, let's take a listen to this exhaust, which actually sounds nice. Can't lie, that just sounds amazing. Also, while we're on the topic of exhaust and sound, this car allows you to redline it, and it's amazing because you can even redline it when you put it in the manual mode and you wait for it to reach red, and it will only override it if you press the accelerator past the metal. And it's not an actual metal, it's just a button that's there to override the manual mode. Before we go for the drive, let's talk about a few things that could go wrong with this car, if anything. Everything about this car is reliable. The engine is good. The gearbox is not a CVT. It's good. It's not a hybrid. You don't have to worry about a hybrid battery, but you do have to worry about your wheel wells getting slightly rusty in more humid areas. And though this may not be a problem that many people will face, some say that the load cover that is over here is pretty sharp and could cut you. So you have to be careful with that. But you could just be like me and chuck it out. And some people also complain that the storage underneath here is not enough. But you could remove that little organizing thingy and leave space for an actual spare tire. Now, let's go for a ride. Put on your seatbelts. Let's look at the ground clearance, how well it goes over bumps and Kenyan roads, and let's see how fast it picks. Also, please ignore that ribbon. My cousin really forced me to put it there. This is the driver's view out. There's not much of a blind spot here. There's a clear view out. The big blind spot is in the back over there, but it's compensated for by the side mirror. Without sports mode, the car pulls pretty hard and sounds amazing. The thing with these Mazda Demios and small cars in general, they feel very zippy and they're fast and they're easy to control. And with the automatic gearbox, you feel every gear shift and it just makes the driving feel that much better. Okay. We're going to go in sports mode first before we go over bumps, so we can see how much the car changes in sports mode. So sports mode is on. And foot down. So in sports mode, quite a lot changes. The steering wheel becomes a decent bit more sensitive, then the accelerator becomes more responsive, and it keeps the RPMs higher so that you get to go faster. And if you noticed, in sports mode, the RPMs were, the gears were shifting at around 5,600 RPM, while Without sports mode, the gears were shifting at around 3000 to 4500 rpm. Also, the braking becomes sharper, like the car changes completely in how it responds to you driving. If you can see, there's a small bump here, and when we go with this Demio, because it has a decent ground clearance, it clears it very easily. Let's go find a bigger bump. Now ahead there's a bump that's quite huge. Let's see if we can clear it. And it cleared it easily without scraping. Now there's an even bigger bump. Unfortunately, these bumps aren't, the paint isn't in the best condition. And when we take it over again, it clears it without scraping. It can do this because even though the ground clearance isn't as high as cars like that Pro Box that just passed, but it has a short wheelbase, so the rear wheel touches the bump and climbs before the front wheel actually leaves the bump. Overall, the car gives a very good driving experience. It's easy to handle, easy to control. It's fuel efficient, it's fast enough, it's powerful, it has a good pickup, and is either the perfect first car or the perfect daily.